the whole of the Umran, getting to understand the different countries, cultures, of the languages that we're studying, and it is a great way to learn about internationalism, globalization. Many of the students are have an aspiration. Many young people have an aspiration to travel the world and get to know different cultures, different countries, for a variety of reasons. And these cultural programs are help in that sense. So apologies, I haven't heard from Arshad. He was going to speak on the behalf of the Urdu department, but maybe at the end, if we have time, we can finish with something to do with Urdu, the Urdu language. But I'll pass it over to Fusun to introduce her students and introduce her department. Okay, thank you, Fusun.
Welcome. Herkes hoş geldi. Hoş geldiniz hepiniz. Welcome to our program, Turkish program. We will present you about Turkey, Turkish independence atom, and also the other cultural expression. So Wahid will present us, and let's start, Wahid.
All right. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'll start with the presentation. I'll share my screens. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Merhaba. Hello. Hoş geldiniz. Welcome. So welcome everyone to a glimpse of Turkey, or Turkey as they all call it. Now, Turkish culture today is a rich and wide-ranging culture rooted at its traditions. The Turkish culture combines diverse elements derived from various cultures of the Eastern European, Eastern Mediterranean, Caucasian, Middle East, and Central Asia. So if you see, the important words that I highlight is rich and wide-ranging, rooted at its traditions. So this is what Turkey is all about. It combines diverse elements. Now, another culture similar to Turkey, which is rich, diverse combination of several cultures historically and geographically, is India. Now, we are not going to talk much about India though, but India and Turkey are two diverse countries that are geographically distant from each other, but traditionally they are same. Both countries have a rich cultural heritage. Both countries have a deep history that dates back centuries. Both countries have strategic geographical locations such that they were on international strategic trade routes. Both countries exhibit lot of diversity. In India, they say every 100 kilometers when you move, you find a new culture, a new dress, a new food item, a new dance maybe. Similarly, in Turkey, it exhibits a lot of diversity in its culture. And both these countries are well known for their culinary delights. Both these countries are having very deep-rooted family values. Hospitality is at its roots. They welcome their guests with open arms. But today we are going to talk about Turkey. So let us explore Turkey. Here in this presentation, we will explore Turkey's origin, its geography, food, dances, traditional sports, some architecture things, cultural values, and we'll look at certain touristic attractions. On the way, we may talk a little bit about Indian culture and bring out the similarities between them. Okay, so who are the Turks? Now, this is very important. If you look at this area, this is Central Asia. You can see countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Russia, the Asian countries on the right. You can see a lot of European countries on the left side. But in between is this Central Asia and all this area which is in orange, red, pink. These consisted of various nomadic tribes. Lot of ethnic groups, different tribes having different cultures. They all lived in these areas and slowly over the years they mingled into each other. So Turks are now none but descendants of a lot of nomadic and ethnic groups in the Central Asia region. And then they were all brought together during the Ottoman Empire and then they combined into each other. So this is at its root the reason why Turkey shares so much diversity and exhibits so much different cultures is because it starts with different cultures. The origin is different. Now, but who are the Turks today? Today, we don't represent Turks uh, as an ethnic identity or various groups. Today, Turks are nothing but citizens of a Turkish republic. It's a secular republic country known as Turkey. Now, the important thing to understand is its geography. Turkey is at a geographical crossroads. Again, if you look at these countries surrounding it, you can see that Turkey is what I would say a transcontinental country. Between the Asian continent and the European continent are all these Balkan countries, and Turkey is right in between. So it is a transcontinental country. You can say the Republic of Turkey is a Eurasian country. It stretches from Western Asia towards the Balkan regions and all the way till southeastern Europe. It has borders with a lot of European countries. So speaking of boundaries, Turkey has borders with Bulgaria, Greece, Cyprus in the waters, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia, and it is covered by two oceans, two seas, the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea. Now, besides the map of Turkey, I want you to focus in this area here. You can see my mouse. This arrow, this is nothing but what we call as the Bosphorus Strait. This is actually the point where the Asian continent meets with the European continent. And you can see there is a thin line of sea in between these two lands. In fact, that is where Istanbul is. And you can see in this photo, you can see the right side is the Asian side and the left side is the European side, and there is water in between. This is the Bosphorus Strait in Istanbul. And Istanbul is the only city in the world located on two continents, that is Asia and Europe. Again, another view of Istanbul. You can see the Asian side. This is entirely Turkey. And you can see the Bosphorus Strait in between. You can see the European side on the left side and the Asian side on the right side. This is the Bosphorus Strait, the famous one and only Bosphorus Strait. Okay. Now coming to a little history, like we said, Turkey is a very old country, so many tribes, so many people living since ages. So it has a very rich history. The city of Istanbul was founded in 659 BC. That's way long back. It was the capital of the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire. And later on, it was also the capital, or rather Bursa, adjoining city, was the Ottoman Empire's capital since 330 AD. So the history of Turkey or history of Istanbul or Constantinople, as we call it, was founded in 659 BC. It's so old that there are so many archaeological wonders and excavations going on there. Every year, nearly 150 archaeological excavations are carried out in Turkey. One of the largest Neolithic human settlement since 7000 BC was also found in Turkey. So that is for rich history. Coming to its culture, it shows vivid diversity, so many cultures. We'll just talk about a few things like dance. Just like in India, we have several dances in different places. Different states have different dances. In Turkey, you have different dances in different areas. Okay, let's look at some of the dances. There are different folk dances from different regions. Zeybek is one of the dance from an Anatolian region. So this is a traditional Zeybek dance. Dabke is another dance. I don't want to make this very dry and a knowledge topic. Let's also look at some dance patterns. So Dabke is a dance which actually origins from the Arabic areas or from places like Jerusalem and Syria. But then it was absorbed by the Turkish culture. So Dabke is a popular dance. Horon is another dance from the Black Sea regions. Let's look at some dance. Let me know if you can hear the sound and the video. Somebody. Could you see my video and hear my voice?
Yeah.
And hear the audio voice?
Aynen, evet.
All right. Okay. I like that confirmation. That was Dabke dance. The important thing about Dabke dance is it was more of a military dance. The word Dabke actually means pounding of feet. So it's a men's dance. Men would dance by pounding their feet. More of a soldier type of a dance. Horon is another dance from the Black Sea region. You can see different dance. In the dance, you can see their dresses and the music. This is Horon dance. Shifteteli or Shifteteli is a dance which is now more popular in all over the world. This is actually the original belly dancing. So this photograph you can see here is actually Shifteteli dancers, but they are in their traditional attire now. Otherwise, in belly dancing, you see them in a different form. But this is the mother of belly dancing, or even cabaret, you can say. So you have all these dance. Kashik Oyonu is another dance, which is actually, it means spoon dance. So these people, they have some spoon and some kitchen cutlery in their hand and they dance with that. I don't have a video. We can go ahead. Again, we're talking about dancing or we're talking about cultures. Sufism is Turkey is actually the motherland of Sufism. Now, I don't want to get into Sufism. All that I can say is Sufism is one of the ways of meditation, So the Sufi dance or the dervish, they call it dervishes. They, in this form of dance or music, and they meditate, and it is like a prayer towards God. You can see some dancing. Again, this Sufi dancing has so much resemblance actually all over the world, but definitely in India, where Sufism is uh, a form of meditation and practice, a very common practice in India. And the Sufi dancing has been used in so many cultural programs. In fact, you can see a very latest song in the Hindi movies. Just trying to make an attempt to show various glimpses. Otherwise, we can get into these dances for long. Okay, coming to food. Turkey is definitely the land of kebabs. Kebab, as we call it in India, is again the word kebabs is from Turkey, and Turkey has so many varieties of kebabs, or so many varieties of even other cuisines. But kebabs is the popular one. So Turkey definitely land of kebabs, and we have so much variety here again. You can have a shish kebab, you can have a Adana kebab. Again, the word shish is commonly used in India as something called as a Sikh kebab if you are a non-vegetarian. Or you could have a doner kebab, or you could have something like an Iskender kebab. So there is so much variety and so much food. Again, talking about some culinary delights now, to Indians especially, if I say that there is a traditional dessert made of flour, sugar, and it is served with sugar syrup, what would you call that as? Any guesses?
Gulab
Yeah.
Jalebi.
Oh no. A traditional dessert made of flour, sugar. Yeah, definitely jalebi also, but you can see that it looks like gulab jamun, or you may call it gulab jamun. But this is actually a delicacy from Turkey, and it is called as lokma. And it is having a similar taste too. It's not just a resemblance in the appearance. It actually has a similar taste. Or if I say a traditional dish made with, wrapped leaves and then some masala or onion and spices inside, something like this. Again, you may resemble it to some Indian dish. But this is again sarma, a traditional Turkish delight. This is made from grape leaves actually. These are grape wine leaves. Or you can have baklava, very famous traditional Turkish dessert. Uh, it has a sugary syrup or a sugary layer down, and then it has a baked bread like layer on the top, and then it is filled with various nuts or various other ingredients in the middle. So baklava is definitely a famous Turkish dessert. Again, keeping traditions alive. So this again, is something which is similar to an Indian culture, where in India we have something called as a Katputli, wherein puppet shows are made common. So long before even the TV, hundreds of years back, there was something called as shadow theater, wherein these puppets were shown on a screen against a light, so like a shadow, and and then there were various characters, but one popular pair of puppets are this Hajivat and Karago. So these are actually name of the characters. This guy here is Hajivat. This person here is Karagos, and typically Karavos is somebody who's illiterate, he's a commoner, he's from the village, he's not somebody who's refined. And Hajiwat is somebody who's very well mannered and very well educated. But together they get into different situations and into funny quarrels. So traditionally, these plays would be performed at different events and different venues, and this was a form of entertainment. I can have a small Hajiwat clipping. Once.
Nani is like a mermaid and we made friends with dolphins.
Validesi vardır. 7 tane validesi mi var? O nasıl oluyor yahu? Valide değil, kaide. O ne yahu? Bak Karagöz'üm. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, kuru, fa, sol, ya. Allah Allah, niye vuruyorsun Karagöz'üm? Yahu tepemde ne bağırıyorsun be adam? Karagöz'üm bak gel insanları eğlendirelim. He? Eğlendirelim. Tamam Hacivat eğlendirelim. Nasıl eğlendireceğiz? Bak Karagöz'üm şarkıyla. He? Şarkıyla. Söyle bakayım.
Alright, coming to sports again. Besides the international sports which we play, and Turkey represents in certain sports like wrestling or archery, wherein Turkey has managed to maintain its leadership. But besides that, they have some traditional sports which they keep on playing, or they enjoy this, something called as camel wrestling, which is very unique to Turkey. It may not be legal nowadays, but this is a traditional sport which people would engage in. You can see a lot of crowd watching the camel wrestling. Or there could be something called as Kirpanar. Kirpanar is actually it's a wrestling, but it's oil wrestling, wherein the wrestlers put a lot of oil on their body, and then it's difficult to have a grip on each other. A traditional game again played there, or you can have the game of Jirid, or this is nothing but a javelin throw kind of a game, along with riding on the horse. So the Turkish people have great interest in horse riding. Again, besides sports, there are small games or indoor games. This Mangala is a traditional Turkish indoor game which has been played since centuries. It consists of 2x6 this Mangala board, and it has these small pits. So this game was also copied in certain Western works in a different way. Again, this Mangala game in South India or in India, there is a game called Palanguzi. It's again a traditional Mangala game played in South India. It has these instead of 2x6 here, you have 2x7 pits, and then it is played in a similar way with similar rules. By the way, Palanguzi was a game which regained a lot of popularity during COVID times. People had no other work, so they would play this game. This game is also used in South India to encourage kids to learn or to improve their motor skills, etc. Similarly, you have this, again, kids game. I'm trying to bring out some similarities, otherwise there are so many other games. So you see this game being played in India again.
Oyunun ne provası olacak zaten oyun. Oynarsın eğlenir.
Called as Sevens.
Hadi
Kadir çıkıyor hemen. Kadir çıkıyor.
So we have a similar game here called as Lagori. I have a similar video, but we can move ahead. Talking about architecture now, there is so much to talk about when it comes to Turkish sightseeing and architecture, but I would like to talk about Mimar Sinan. He was given the title the Grand Architect because he was a Grand Architect born in 1490 till 1588. So this is Mimar Sinan. Mimar Sinan was the chief architect, engineer, and a mathematician for the Ottoman sultans. He served 3 sultans one by one, one after the other. He is credited with the construction of more than 300 major structures in Turkey. 300 major structures. We'll see some of his works, like this Selemiye Mosque. This is Selemiye Mosque, built by Mimar Sinan, or the Suleiman Mosque, built by Mimar Sinan, or the Mehmet Pasha Bridge. This Mehmet Pasha Bridge, way back 3 centuries back, was built, 4 centuries back, I would say, was built by Mimar Sinan. Or the Shehzada Mosque with its grand interiors. Later, he headed an extensive government department. He trained so many other people, not only in Turkey, but even outside Turkey. He trained a lot of assistants who then themselves became renowned architects. So this Mimar Sinan was a very, globally he is like one of the father of architecture. He is, in fact, if you compare with the Western world, he is compared to Michelangelo. Michelangelo, again, was a great artist and an architect who built several churches in Europe. So he was of that time, and he was compared to Michelangelo. So later on, he trained so many assistants, so many people. Again, Taj Mahal, Mimar Sinan's architectural concepts were incorporated in the design of Taj Mahal. So Taj Mahal was built much later after Mimar Sinan, and the architect was Ustad Lahori from Iran actually. But Taj Mahal was commissioned in 1631. Mimar Sinan expired by 1588. But his concepts were used in the design here. When we're talking about similarity, there are so many language similarities also. Like there are so many common words, there are so many, so much cultural, matching. Even in the serials or movies, people copy each other. So there's something in the language also. There's so much similarity. Long here. So there's so many common words, like if you look at Hindi words or you look at Turkish words, so there's so many things like tamanna, temenni, or hawa, or perde, rushwat, khandan, or ajnabi. There's so many common words, so many language similarities. There's the clip here.
Yes. 9,000 words that we share.
Yes.
Both the countries share.
Yes.
So we can start from A. Yeah? Azad.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom.
So how you spell Azad?
Azat.
Azad?
Azat.
Oh, so the same. Azad is the freedom.
Yes, yes, freedom. It means.
Okay, then Bulbul. Bulbul. Bulbul is a bird. How you spell it?
Bülbül.
Bulbul?
Bülbül.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Dost. Friend. Dost is?
Friends, close friends.
Close
it means
friend is dost.
Yes, dost.
How you say it?
Dost.
Dost? Okay. Duvar. Wall. Yeah?
Yeah, wall, duvar. Turkish, spell duvar.
Duvar?
Yes,
Duvar is
wall, the wall, yeah, the wall.
दुआर जो शब्द दीवार हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं वॉल के लिए हम
So many similarities, and I hope I've tried to bring some glimpse of Turkey to the audience. I would like to say goodbye. Teşekkür ederim. Teşekkür ederim means thank you. Thank you very much. Gule gule. Goodbye, everyone.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Wahid. Excellent. You can see from there how the culture and the tradition of Turkey is borrowed by so many of the neighboring countries, and every country will learn from its neighbors and incorporate aspects of each other's country, different cultures. So thank you very much for that. I think, is it Fusun?
We have also the other presentation,
Yeah.
Wahid.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I will. Medha, are you there? So we have.
Can you share your screen? I'll read from my screen, but is it possible for you to
Yes.
share it?
Okay. So when we were talking about Turkish traditions, Nasruddin Hoja is a very popular figure. Just like in India, we have Birbal or Tenali Raman, and then we hear so many stories of their wit. We have someone called as Nasruddin Hoja, who is a character who was very famous, and he is known for his jokes or his witty replies. So we have a few stories and a little bit of Nasruddin Hoja here, which me and my colleague will share. Medha, let me know if you can see my screen.
All right.
Share again. Hold on. I'll have to
Anyway,
share.
it's my screen, but yeah, for them, I just.
No, I'll have to share it. Okay, can everybody see our screen? See my screen?
Yes.
And Medha, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so, all right. So we'll talk about Nasruddin Hoja in Turkish and in English for everyone to understand. Yeah, Medha, carry on.
Thank you, everyone. Merhaba. And so I'll start with in this part of the presentation, I'll start with Nasruddin Hoja's introduction. Wahid will then translate it into English. Then both of us will recite one of his jokes, one of his anecdotes, one each, and we'll also read the English translation for all of you. Yes, as Wahid introduced, that Nasruddin Hoja is like Birbal, this kind of a very famous character in Turkish literature. But I have also, like in India as well, I have read a lot of stories, a lot of anecdotes related to Nasruddin Hoja. Here it is called Mullah Nasruddin. So, but it originates from Turkey. So again, it was something very, again, surprising to know that, again, there is another common factor that India and Turkish culture and literature share. So I'll start now by reading whatever Turkish we have learned so far in our classes from our very amazing teachers, Fusun, Hocam, and Safure. Okay. Nasreddin Hoca 1208'de Sivşehir'de Sivrihisar'a yakın Hortu Koyun'da doğmuştur. Kendisi Türkiye'nin Hatta belki de İslam dünyasının en bilinen şakacısıdır. 1237 yılında Akşehir'e taşınan Nasreddin Hoca burada vefat etmiştir. İsmine atfedilen neredeyse 350 anekdot bulunmaktadır. Bunlar en bilinenlerdir. Hoca kelimesi öğretmen anlamına gelmektedir. Nasreddin ismin birçok farklı yazım şekli mevcuttur. Nasreddin, Nasreddin, Nasruddin, Nasreddin, Nasreddin, Nasreddin, Nasiruddin, Nasruddin, Nasreddin ve Nasreddin'i bunlardan bazıları. Ayrıca İngilizce'deki hoca kelimesinin de birçok farklı yazımı bulunmaktadır. Hoca, hoca, hoca, çotsa, koca, koca ve koca da bunlara örnek verilebilir. Haydi şimdi beraber Nasreddin Hoca'nın en bilinen iki fıkrasının İngilizcesi ve Türkçesine bir göz atalım.
So what we read was Nasruddin Hoja was born in 1208 in village of Hortu, close to Sivri Hisar. He is the best known joker or prankster of Turkey, perhaps even the best in the Islamic world. Nasruddin Hoja, who moved to Ekshehir in 1237, passed away here. There are almost 350 anecdotes attributed to his name. These are some of the most well-known. We will read one or two of those jokes. The word Hoja means teacher. The name Nasruddin has many different spellings, like Nasreddin, Nasreddin, Nasruddin, Nasiruddin, Nasreddin, Nasreddin, Nasiruddin, Nasaruddin, Nasreddin, Ve Nasreddin. So many names. Are some of these. Moreover, the word Hoja in English has many different spellings, like Hoja, Hosha, Hoja, Chodza, Kojia, Hoja, and Khoja can be given as examples. So let us take a look at the English and Turkish versions of Nasruddin Hoja's two well-known jokes. So this is Nasruddin Hoja, by the way, and this is some guy. Right. We'll read one joke. Nasruddin Hoca komşusundan bir kazan ister. Kazanın dışında kullesi var. Bunu kaynatır. Sonra da kazana güzelce temizler ve içerisine küçük bir tencere koyarak komşusunun kapısını çalar. Komşu kazanın içindeki tencereyi görünce şaşkın bir şekilde hocaya sorar. Hocam, bu tencere ne? Komşu, senin kazan hamileymiş, doğrudur der. Komşu bu işten memnun kalır. Bir gün böyle, iki gün böyle derken günün birinde hoca komşusundan bir daha kazanı ister. Komşusu da sevinçle kazanı verir. Fakat aradan günler geçmesine karşılık hoca kazanı bir türlü getirmez. Bir sefer sezinleyen komşusu hocanın kapısını çalar. Hocam, bizim kazanı verir misin? Komşu, senin kazan oldu der. Bunun üzerine komşu sinirle bir şekilde hocaya çıkışır. Ya hocam, hiç kazan olur mu? Hoca, bıyık altından gülerek komşusuna cevap verir. Bey adam, kazanın doğruluğuna inanıyorsun da Oldune neden inanmıyorsun there. You'll understand when she reads in English.
Yes, I'll read the English part now. Nasruddin Hoja asks for a cauldron from his neighbor. He fills the outside of the cauldron with ash, boils the cereal, then cleans the cauldron and knocks on the neighbor's door by putting a small pot in it. When the neighbor sees the pot in the cauldron, he asks Hoja in surprise, Hojam, what is this pot? Neighbor, your cauldron was pregnant, it gave birth. The neighbor is satisfied with the situation. One day like this, 2 days like that. One day, Hoja asks his neighbor for another cauldron. His neighbor happily gives the cauldron. However, despite the passing of days, Hoja could not bring the cauldron. Sensing something, his neighbor knocks on Hoja's door. Hoja, can you give our cauldron back? Neighbor, your cauldron is dead. Upon this, the neighbor angrily scolds Hoja. Ahoy, Hoja, does a cauldron ever die? Hoja answers his neighbor, laughing under his mustache. Ahoy, you believe that the cauldron gave birth, but why don't you believe that he died? So, just an anecdote usually used in many cultures that we are satisfied when we get something extra, but the same reasoning when Nasruddin Hoja uses when he possibly loses the cauldron. At that time, the neighbor was not satisfied with the same reason. Yes.
We'll read another joke.
Yes. Now we'll read the next joke, the last one. Ye kurkum ye. I'll read the Turkish part now. Hoca bir yemeğe davet edilmiş. Gösterişçi görünmek istemediği için davete günlük kıyafetiyle katılmış. Katılmış ama davet sahibi dahil ne hoş geldin ne sefa getirdin diyen var. Hoca bir koşu evine giderek sandıktaki işlemeli kurkunu giyip yemeğe geri dönmüş. Az evvel hoş geldin bile demeyenler onun da yerlere kadar eğmişler. Oturup yiyip içmişi için ısrar etmişler. Çorba servis edildiğinde hoca bir taraftan kurkunun kolunu sofrada salamaya bir taraftan da ye kurkum ye demeye başlamış. Bu hareket ile şaşıran davet sahibi hocaya garip davranışının nedenini sormuş. Hoca taşı gediğine koymakta gecikmemiş. Buraya değil kıyafetlerimle geldiğimde kimse bana yiyip içmek için bir şey teklif etmedi. Fakat bu kıyafetle geri geldiğimde her şeyin en iyisi sonuldu. Kurtsuz adamdan sayılmadan itibarı o gordu yemye o yesin demiş.
The Hoja was invited to a dinner. He wore his everyday clothes because he did not want to be pretentious, and only to discover that everyone ignored him, including the host. So he went back home and put on his fanciest coat, and then returned to the dinner. Now he was greeted cordially by everyone, and invited to sit down and eat and drink. When the soup was served to him, he dunked the sleeve of his coat into the bowl and said, "Eat, my coat, eat." The startled host asked Hoja to explain his strange behavior. Hoja said, "When I arrived here wearing my other clothes," explained Hoja, "no one offered me anything to eat or drink. But when I returned wearing this fine coat, I was immediately offered the best of everything. So I can only assume that it was the court and not myself who was invited to your dinner. So like my daughter says, the moral of the story was Hoja points out how people give more importance to clothes and external things rather than the person, in a very sarcastic way though. Right. So we presented two jokes, and Nasiruddin Hoja is a very common figure. Uh, Before we end, there is another small presentation which our teacher had presented. Is my screen share still on? Yes. Hello.
Evet, evet, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. So this will speak for itself. One minute. I think you cannot hear. I'll screen share again. So this is a presentation prepared by our teacher.
Korkma, sönmez bu şafaklarda yüzen al sancak. Sönmeden yurdumun üstünde tüten en son ocak. O benim milletimin yıldızıdır, parlayacak. O benimdir, o benim milletimindir ancak. Çatma, kurban olayım çehrini ey nazlı hilal. Kahraman, irkıma bir gul, ne bu şiddet ne bu celal. Sana olmaz dökülen kanlarımız sonra helal. Hakkıdır, hakka tapan milletimin istiklal.
In 1921, Turkey was going through a tough time. They wanted to be free and independent, but they faced many challenges. During this difficult period, a talented poet named Mehmet Akif Ersoy decided to write a special poem that would inspire the Turkish people. The poem was called İstiklal Marşı, which means the Independence March. It talked about the bravery and strength of the Turkish people and how they would fight for their freedom. The words of the poem touched the hearts of everyone who read or heard it. The Turkish people loved the poem so much that they decided it should be their national anthem. They believed that whenever they sang or listened to İstiklal Marşı, it would give them hope and remind them of their unity and determination. Over time, İstiklal Marşı became a symbol of Turkey's fight for independence. On important occasions, like national holidays and sports events. People feel proud when they hear it, because it represents the strength and spirit of the Turkish nation. Today, İstiklal Marşı continues to inspire and unite the people of Turkey. Its powerful words and beautiful melody remind everyone that they can overcome any challenge when they stand together. And that is the simple story of İstiklal Marşı, a poem that became the anthem of a nation, filling the hearts of the Turkish people with pride and hope for a brighter future.
So that's all from our side. we would like to, me and my colleague Medha would like to thank our teachers, Husun Sara as well as Zubair, and also thank Umran to give a good platform, and there's so much of sharing and learning here. Thank you so much, everyone. That's all from our side.
Teşekkürler Vay.
Thank
Thank
you
Vijay,
to especially thank you to Usun Hojam. Very
Teşekkür,
grateful.
teşekkürler Vedra. Sağ olun.
Okay, thank you to the Turkish department, Fusun, Vahid, and Meda, and the other.
Zuber. Zuber, my assistant.
Okay, I don't think he's present here today, but
Safure Hojam and
Yeah.
Zubair Hojam.
Yeah.
excellent, excellent. Thank you. Very educational, and I liked their presentations. And Hoja's, they even teach a little bit of the stories of Hoja here in Britain, but then there is quite a sizable Turkish community in Britain. It's interesting that you mentioned, that Turkey is like at the crossroads of the East and the West. And for a long while, Turkey wanted to become part of the European Union. But unfortunately, there were many in the West that didn't really want that to happen. Mainly because of well, my understanding is that it was mainly because of the religious differences. The West, as you know, Europe is a Christian continent, and the East is predominantly Muslim, I suppose you could say. But if Turkey was to become part of Europe, and then there was a fear that there would be a huge influx of Muslims, and this would create tensions between Christianity and Islam that have been going on for centuries. But that's a political thing. But certainly, so thank you very much to the Turkish department for their presentation and their enlightening us about the culture and the traditions of the Turkish peoples. I don't know if Rajiv, if you want to say anything before we wrap up for today. No. So can I just leave it to thank you all for taking part in today's session. Next week is the last week of the semester, and after that the teachers will be expected to just give a little feedback into how their sessions have gone, and I'm sure we will be in touch with regards to that in due course. So I'll end today's session unless anybody's got any questions. Does anybody have any questions for the Turkish department or any comment? Would anybody like to share anything? No.
Yeah, Rahib, I would like to compliment the Turkish department. It was a very good presentation. It was very informative as well as very enjoyable. And I love the two stories they told about Mullah Nasruddin, as he's known in India. His stories have always been very educative with a little mockery in them. They are always with the moral in the end. And congratulations, Turkish department. It was a lovely presentation.
Yes, yes. So thank you for that, Smita. And I'm sure everybody agrees that it was a very good presentation and a very educational one. Okay, so that's the end of our session today. So thank you very much, and hope to see you again soon.
Okay, good night.
Good night,
Yeah.
everyone. Good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.